Thickened, cracked feet. This is one of the most common things that I actually see in the clinic. And in this video, we're not going to only be talking about thick and cracked feet. We're going to talk about all the things that we see on the feet in the office very commonly. So there's a lot of foot concerns that come into the dermatology office that we treat on a daily basis.
Yeah, there are a lot of things here that we regularly see that people regularly ask about. And on social media, maybe it doesn't get enough love. Maybe it doesn't. But we'll tell you everything you need to know about your feet, what's on your feet, and how do you treat it. Here we go.
Here we go. Let's talk about thickened, cracked heels first, and we'll show you different pictures of what this can look like. But basically with time, your feet can get thicker, and that's just due to all the pressure that you're putting on your feet throughout the day. Whether you're just constantly on your feet, whether you're a runner, whether you're some type of athlete, just with time, I've noticed just across the board, all of my patients and family members have these thickened heels, and eventually those thickened heels can crack, and that can actually be painful.
Right, and so, you know, I'll see this with flip-flops as well. I think when I was living by the beach, you just see it all the time because it's not just pressure, it's also friction. The skin thickens up as a defense mechanism. It gets too thick for its own good. It splits open, cracks, but because that skin is so thick and because you're still generally going to be walking on your feet on a regular basis, you will need more than hydration to treat this. Just adding moisture is not enough.
I remember experiencing this a lot in my house when I was growing up because my mom was constantly picking at her feet. Then I think she just developed a habit of like picking at the skin on her feet because it became like this thickened area that she could pick at, and she was always trying to pare it down. And so what can you do? There's a couple things, and it depends on really how thick it is. You know, a lot of times if you get a pedicure at certain places, they will try to sand it down like they did in this video here. But a lot of times you can even use a pumice stone as a physical exfoliant. Now that's not my favorite way to get rid of these because that can be quite abrasive. Sometimes people really irritate, sometimes they go too deep. But if you use a gentle pumice stone to really sand down your feet, especially if they're very thickened to the point where any topical cream is just simply not going to help, that can get you down to the place where topical creams can start to be useful here.
Right, and then in addition, just another way to exfoliate the skin beyond mechanical exfoliation, which is your pumice stone, your sandpaper perhaps, then you have chemical exfoliation, and they make these really dramatic foot masks, and they can just shred off entire layers of the skin. I don't have much personal experience with it. I don't actually have much professional experience with it. Anecdotally, some people swear by them though. I don't know if I put my seal of approval on it though, because they can be very dramatic.
And there are foot creams that are specifically made for this, and really the two that I think are most effective is something like a KERASAL, which is an ointment with salicylic acid and urea, and it really is quite occlusive. It is an ointment, so it's going to be a bit messy unless you cover it with a cotton sock, which I actually prefer because it helps to lock it in further, or a cream with 30 or 40% urea. Now these are available on Amazon. They're not the best aesthetic, but they do work really well, and my mom swears by these as well. She actually now uses our remedy for body bumps, which is 10% urea, 5% lactic acid, and 0.1% retinol. She also swears that this really works for her feet, and she's been using this pretty consistently. You do have to be consistent to see results here. You can also do a hack where you take your glycolic acid from The Ordinary, and then you cover it with an ointment, and then you cover it with a sock. But I don't know that you need to do that given that there are foot creams that are widely available and affordable on the market. Being a patient is more than having a medical problem, and being a doctor is more than having a diploma. There's a person at both ends.
Right, and even in my practice, sometimes a patient will just resonate with me, sometimes things will just click, or sometimes communication seems difficult, and that's okay. It's part of the humanity of medicine, and that's important too. And I'm a doctor, but I'm also a patient too, even recently, and having a source or a resource where you can find out what other people's experiences have been with that doctor and with that medical care has been very valuable.
Oftentimes, patients find doctors by word of mouth, but if you've moved or are new to an area or haven't had a treatment before, it can be overwhelming trying to figure out where to start.
ZocDoc, today's video sponsor, is a free-to-use website that lets you search and compare local in-network doctors, and with over 150,000 providers and 200 plus specialties across all 50 states, ZocDoc can help connect you to care that you can have confidence in.
And while you can see reviews of real patients, it's actually more than that. Once you find what you need, you can instantly book a visit, often with appointments within 72 hours, which is really convenient for how people live real life. And it's actually really helpful for us as doctors as well. When we opened up our clinic and we used ZocDoc, it helped us connect with patients. And when we had gaps in our schedule, those gaps could get filled by patients that were looking for immediate care.
So yes, I know the medical system is incredibly complicated and finding the right care can be extremely difficult, but having ZocDoc can make this so much easier. Take a look for yourself, look at the reviews, see if it's a good fit for you and your medical needs.
And I know a lot of you have had either a spot that you want looked at or skin concern that you want seen in person, and you don't even want to take that initiative to get started because it is so overwhelming. ZocDoc makes it super easy. You can see the appointments that are available in your area, which are convenient for you, and you can book today.
So thanks so much to ZocDoc for sponsoring this video and for helping us take better care of our health. Now, back to the video at hand. Speaking of dry skin, this is not dry skin, actually. This is something we often see in the clinic. Most people don't actually think much about it, but they have these persistently scaly, flaky feet. They think it's just dry skin. It doesn't seem to go away with moisturizing, and oftentimes it expands over to the top of the foot or even up the ankles.
Yeah, I see this so frequently in the clinic. So when we do skin checks on people, we always have people remove their socks. I would say 60 to 70% of my patients have this rash, also, which is foot fungus, also known as Tinea Pedis, or they have an associated onychomycosis or toenail fungus, which we'll also talk about next. And so foot fungus is extremely common. And a lot of people say it's due to being barefoot because you can pick this up in locker rooms, for example. But what's sort of interesting is that in cultures or in parts of the world where people don't wear shoes, it's actually not that very common. So it seems that there's other things that play a role, like actually coming in contact with the fungus and then wearing socks and shoes that occlude it further and allow that heat and everything to allow that fungus to grow. So it's a fungus, it's an organism that grows on the skin and causes this flaking to occur, similar to what we get with dandruff in a way. It's just a slightly different organism. And you have to treat the fungus for the skin to actually heal.
So here you use your topical antifungal creams, and there are a couple over-the-counter, clotrimazole and then terbinafine, but there are a couple more you can use. The main thing here is you're going to need to use them at least twice a day for a long period of time until the scaling stops. The skin is very thick. And the hack here is you can enhance the activity of the antifungal cream by using one of the exfoliants we talked about previously. You could use urea. It helps soften skin, helps enhance the activity of and penetration of the antifungal ingredient so we can get deeper into that top layer of the skin and treat the fungus.
But there are some over-the-counter options. We have stronger prescription options that are available as well, which then takes us into this scaly, yellow, lifted, peeling toenails that start to occur, and your toenails can even fall off to some extent. And this is, again, extremely common, nothing to be embarrassed about, and is treated by both dermatologists and podiatrists. We see this so frequently, and even your family medicine doctor is somebody who can prescribe something for you as well. Now, we do know that topicals here are usually ineffective.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing. With onychomycosis or infection of the toenails from this fungus, topicals, I mean, it seems like common sense, but they just don't penetrate through that thickened nail plate very effectively to get to the organism itself. We did a whole video on this from Vicks Vapor Rub. There is some logic behind that. There is some data that you could use this home hack. I guess we'll start with the hack. Vicks Vapor Rub can help with your toenails, but even topical prescription ingredients really lack in efficacy. It's worth trying, but the results, even if it works, might take a year and a half to see, but the cure rate is very low.
Then takes you to using the oral antifungals here to treat. The best data is with oral terbinafine. Now you need to be on this for usually 2 to 3 months, and usually then you can get fungal cure, so the cure of the organism, but it's still going to take a while for that toenail to actually grow out. And so even if you cure the fungus, it will take several months for that toenail, maybe 6 months or even a year for the toenail to fully grow out. But usually within 2 months or 3 months, you can get cure of the actual fungus that's causing this to continue to proliferate. Now, that being said, you have to weigh the benefits and risks of this, because any oral medication, especially the oral antifungals, have other risks. So sometimes the treatment is worse than the disease, but I prescribe oral terbinafine all the time, but it does have some risks for the liver.
Right. Now, if there's any question, make sure you see your dermatologist, because not every yellow nail is toenail fungus. It actually can be quite confusing. Even conditions like psoriasis can just cause onychodystrophy or destruction of the nail, or just time. People get thickened yellow nails with time, even in the absence of fungus. So you might need or want some professional help in evaluating it and treating it.
Next up, let's talk about corns. So these are hardened, usually yellowish bumps that are usually quite painful by the time you start noticing them, where you stand on them and they cause pressure on the nerves, which cause usually a shooting pain in some cases, but at least a dull pain constantly when you walk.
Right, and so this corn, not a wart, not infectious. It occurs mostly over areas of pressure. That constant pressure, just like thickened skin on the feet. Now it's focally thick, and it actually causes this little central plug. It's super dense, super thick, almost as if you got like a pebble stuck in your skin, and that's what most people feel and equate to the pain. And the treatment for this, it requires a couple of things. The over-the-counter, you can use a corn pad, a little circle donut to help offload the pressure, so you don't constantly have that little central point pressing down and getting thicker and thicker. And then the second part is if you have someone pare it down, dermatologist, more often probably a podiatrist, you can actually scrape down that skin, that dead skin on top, and you can remove that central thickest part, and that can provide people with a lot of immediate relief.
Immediate relief. I won't call out another family member, but just this week, they had a corn removed in my family, and immediate relief, this person said, as soon as it was removed with a scalpel. So an instant relief on the table, painless, instant relief as soon as that corn was removed.
And beyond that, you can use those topical hydrating, exfoliating ingredients like urea to help soften that skin. And then just lifestyle, finding the right shoe for you is going to be a good help. Something that's form-fitting, not as much sliding, and has enough cushion. So again, the pressure from the ground and you and gravity just isn't as impactful.
And then this takes us to a very adjacent topic, which is warts. Now we have a whole very comprehensive video on how to treat warts, but it's important to distinguish corn versus warts on the bottom of the feet, which we also frequently see. Now, the difference is the corn will have this central plug, and that central plug will be avascular, meaning that it's not going to have blood vessels in it. Warts are going to have blood vessels in them that will look like little black dots, and that's the difference between a wart and a corn. A wart is caused by a virus, a corn is caused by pressure, and you kind of treat these very differently, and they also have different prognoses in general. So with warts, we generally like to freeze these with liquid nitrogen on the bottom of the foot, or the many other treatments that we have available for warts, but you can also use salicylic acid available over the counter. That's usually going to be a 30% salicylic acid that's available in those wart treatments that you have available over the counter. And so we have a whole video on warts if you want to know how to treat them, but it's important to distinguish between a corn and a wart because they do have different treatments.
Right, and one's contagious, one's not, so you would probably adjust your lifestyle accordingly.
Yeah, and the last piece I'll say about this is, even though fungus is not necessarily associated with being barefoot, I still don't think people should be wearing shoes in the house. Maybe it's just a cultural thing growing up, but no shoes in the house. Take your shoes off when you go in the house. You are bringing in lots of feces every single time you wear your shoes in the house, and it's pretty gross in my opinion. And the second piece of this, be careful anytime that you get a pedicure done, right? So every time you get a pedicure done, you kind of come in contact with different organisms. If the areas aren't clean, you don't want them to push back your cuticle too far. That can introduce bacteria infection into the skin. It can become purulent and infected. So just be careful every time you get any pedicure done. You want to make sure that they're not going too deep or too harsh on your nails.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.